What we're trying to do is to automate a bunch of this work so that you could get to results 10x faster and 5x cheaper than if you were hiring extra consultants, for example. Yeah, short answer is we spend much more on compute and much more on hallucination avoidance, multi-agentic discussions protocols than any consumer-grade product. Finally, pharma is ready for AI. We see so much more interest this year.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Could you start by introducing yourself to our viewers, please?
My name is Andrey Doronichev. I'm the CEO and founder at OPTIC, the company behind the BioPTIC platform.
Fantastic. What are you guys working on and how is it benefiting patients?
We built AI that runs the business of pharma, deeply understanding the science of it and the regulatory landscape. In today's world, anticipation of the news and signals and turning data into actions is something that can differentiate from success to failure. That is what we're trying to enable for many companies actually who are here today.
Okay, so could you give us an example of someone you might work with, the type of data you'd process and what the output would be?
So first of all, as I said, we started with pure scientific AI, trying to design molecules and automate R&D. But then soon enough, we realized how much of failures happened because not of technical failures on the scientific side, but rather later on, commercialization planning, understanding competitive landscape far into the future. Because you're making decisions today based on your anticipation of what will happen in 5 years from now when your program will hit the approval. So being good, like building those forecasts based on the signals that you can read today, like patent filings, papers that come out, your competitors' readouts, maybe new mechanisms of action or some new science that appears. Being able to process all this information in real time and make decisions earlier is something that can define your success. So we decided to expand from just predicting science to predicting business outcomes and regulation as well, combining it all in one platform that enables those kind of decisions in real time for pharma today.
Fantastic. So are you building like a bespoke data room for a particular client, or how does it work? You understand their requirements and then how do you actually go forward with it?
Yeah. So ultimately, you can think of us as a industry-grade, very fancy AI agent like, GPT deep research and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's based on highly curated set of sources from public sources like, let's say, FDA databases, patent databases, paid data sources from our partners from whom we license data, as well as internal data of our clients. We collect it all and structure the unstructured data in single data lake for the client. And then based on that, AI agents run to make decisions and help you take actions even. The thing is, nobody needs more data at this point. There's too much of it. The problem is how to turn data into meaningful insight and meaningful insight into a quick action. And that is currently done through armies of consultants, for example. What we're trying to do is to automate a bunch of this work so that you could get to results 10x faster and 5x cheaper than if you were hiring extra consultants, for example.
Interesting. And so what would you say is your moat that allows you to process this data more efficiently than your competitors?
A couple of reasons for that. First of all, just being eval-centric AI research company, we are really good at building industry-grade accuracy and precision and recall systems. I spent 15 years at Google working on some of the biggest AI products out there. My co-founders are AI researchers with incredible papers written on the subject. So our approach to focusing on this one particular vertical is very systemic, and it's focused on evaluating outcomes at the at the systematic basis. And that is a big difference between us and any horizontal general purpose AI agent out there. This is a big difference, but also just our deals on data partnerships and the customers who are already working on the platform and providing feedback and building this reinforcement loop for us is creating the moat over time that enables us to provide better decisions.
You're dealing with quite sensitive data, and obviously the output is so crucial for your clients. How do you ensure that the output is deterministic rather than probabilistic?
Yeah, short answer is we spend much more on compute and much more on hallucination avoidance, multi-agentic discussions protocols than any consumer-grade product. you can think of it in simple terms as you can ask ChatGPT to, let's say, scout all the assets for a given target, and it will return some number of assets. The problem with this outcome will probably be that the number of assets it will return will be way lower than the actual number of programs out there. And if you know the space, you'll be very well aware of it. Second problem will be that some of the data will be made up. For example, you might even get to situations like you have patent numbers listed in the output, but those patent numbers are made up. Because the system hallucinates those things. As you said, it's probabilistic. The way to deal with this is through building what we call MAD, multi-agentic discussion protocol. Ours is called Olympus, and it's a pretty sophisticated system where, in simple terms, you have the heaviest AI providers out there, GPT, Gemini, Grok, negotiating with each other, almost like doing a peer review of each other's outputs multiple times until they come to a consensus that we deem good enough. And good enough for us means that it passes through our evaluation framework, which is a pretty sophisticated set of tests put together by human experts. So every time anything updates, we run through a number of evals and it's a very involved process. It might take days until we make sure that, yes, this time around, this new update does not hallucinate and it comes back with complete results. So recall is complete. We've published pretty deliberate papers on this topic. You can just Google, drug competitive intelligence AI, and probably our paper will be number one, or drug due diligence AI, and it will be definitely number one. In those papers, we publish all the data and data sets and benchmarks themselves, comparing ourselves to existing products out there. It's pretty obvious that this investment in extra runs and extra compute actually pays off.
Fantastic. And finally, how has JPM been going for you so far, and what would your message be to investors?
It's been very different that's my third JPM. It's very different in one way. Finally, pharma is ready for AI. We see so much more interest this year. And I think there are a couple of reasons for it. One is just the business situation is different. So much of the patent cliff that is looming will be sold through M&A and in licensing deals. And finding those great therapeutic programs out there, getting them funded or acquired, is something that we can help with. The second reason is because the technology is finally good enough. The models moved on from generating and summarizing text to reasoning, writing its own code, and actually helping you to analyze the way an analyst would. And we are probably the best game in town for that. So for us, it's going pretty interestingly.
Amazing. Sounds very exciting, Andrey. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.